Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me this lovely Saturday afternoon. It is a beautiful day here in Mississippi. It is 65 degrees on the Saturday of Easter weekend, April 3rd, 2021. I am going to try to keep this stream up on my phone. Look, I can hear me. So that I can see your comments as you guys jump on and join me for this broadcast. So today we are going to be talking about sleep, stress, and movement. That's the title I gave the event. In reality, it's probably going to be a series of broadcasts for the next few weeks about those subjects. We're going to touch a little bit on stress and a lot on sleep today. Whenever you come on to the chat, just go ahead and say hello. Tell me where you're listening from. Put a little hashtag live or a hashtag replay if you're replay whenever you can. And we will get started. So one thing just to set the stage, all these chats we've been doing weekly have been sort of guided by one foundational health principle that I hold very near and dear to my heart, and that is, colloquially you'll hear the expression you can't exercise a bad diet, or another way to put that is you can't out eat your fork. Right? Is that right? That's not what I meant. I wrote that down, but I don't think that's right. Let's go with the first one. You can't out exercise diet. So what that means generally is that nutrition is far more significant to your overall health than is any kind of diet or exercise routine that you could choose. Oh, hi, Cindy. Hi, Robin. Glad to have you guys with me. See, this seems to be working. I can see you guys jump on through the feed on my phone. So that's great. We'll keep up this like dual screen system for a little while. So we are starting by setting the foundation, as I was saying. Every time you guys watch me, anything I post or say is going to come essentially from that foundation. Oh, hi, Benita. It's going to come from that foundational principle that you can't out exercise or out medicate, I'll say, poor nutrition, right? Nutrition is 80 to 90% of your overall health, pretty much a scientific fact, in my opinion. So let's take a look at that foundation from the vantage point of what stress does to our body. We've talked about stress in a few other broadcasts, right? We talked about stress and mindset. We talked about stress and digestion and how stress can impact both of those things and sort of also be a little bit of a circular cascading chain. Stress, mindset, digestion, though all of those can affect each other. And you'll find that, especially with respect to stress, that's largely true for nearly every physiological function in your body. So if you think about stress, like what happens to stress when it comes in, right? Either by the food we eat or lifestyle circumstances or environmental circumstances. Just imagine that your stress all goes into one bucket, right? So you have a bucket repository for stress inside your body. Well, at some point, that bucket will overflow if you do not first empty it or at least drain it. For many of us in this modern era, it's not possible to completely empty the stress bucket. Like we can't just dump everything out and reset and go back to complete calm and utter peaceful bliss. Life just doesn't work that way for a lot of different reasons, environmental factors being something that is hugely important and in many ways beyond our control. So when it comes to stress, the most significant thing we can do is to just try to drain it as much as we can. Give ourselves little bits of release throughout the day as the days goes by, so that that stress bucket does not involuntarily overflow and really like wreak havoc all throughout the systems of our body, which I know is happening to a lot of you. It's certainly happening to me right now. I will touch on that in a second. So one of the most effective ways to drain our stress bucket, let's say, is to get good quality and sufficient amounts of sleep. There's a couple other phrases. Let me just make sure that I wrote them down right. Yes, you can't out-eat your stress, which is to say that no amount of nourishment will be 100% corrective if your stress bucket is overflowing. And also, you can't outnourish your pillow, which sort of is the same concept, but with respect to sleep. There is no amount of nourishment that you can do your nutrition that will completely undo the effects of an overflowing stress bucket or a sleep deprived person. And just to sort of compound all of this, let's go through it like this. Stress, chronic stress, acute or chronic stress, impairs digestion. As we learned in a previous broadcast, broken digestion impairs nutrient absorption. Impaired nutrient absorption means you're not getting what you need to thrive the way you want to thrive, right? And that is going to, as we said a minute ago, cascade all throughout your body. It will affect your mindset, it will affect your overall health, and it will also sleep. So this is a compounding effect of stress and sleep. When we are under acute or chronic stress, sleep quality and sleep duration is one of the first things to suffer. And unfortunately, poor sleep, either in quality or duration, is also an extremely stressful state for our body to be in, right? Everything suffers, as I know you've all experienced at one point or the other in your life, right? Poor sleep, you wake up, you don't feel good, you can't focus well, like you don't make good food choices, maybe you don't make good life choices when you haven't had enough sleep. And I'll tell you, I, in recent years, have become a complete sleep data nerd. I wear this watch, it's an Apple Watch, but there's various different ones that have the same capabilities, right? Every time I wake up in the morning, one of the first things I do is A, I gauge just on my own, how do I feel now that I'm awake? And B, I look at the data, right? Really how restful and nourishing sleep. I can tell you that for this year so far, 2021 this far, for a few different reasons, I've been under what I will call sort of systemic low-grade stress, right? There's not anything like traumatic that happened or this huge event that I'm suffering from. It's just a lot of little stress as that I don't normally have, but they've sure been present for the past 3 months. Uh-oh. My connection is unstable. Can you guys let me know if you can still hear me? Am I still live? Oh, maybe we went back to normal now. Somebody, if you could type in the chat, let me know if you can still hear me. I will keep on, just hope that the connection was restored based on me watching. It looks like that is the case. So systemic amounts of stress, just low grade stressors from a few different areas have, oh, thanks, Mom, have really been interrupting my sleep quality. One of the things the watch tells me is whether or not I had enough deep sleep, and thanks, Benita, and whether or not what my sleeping heart rate was, right? So, oh, hi, Sabrina. Thanks, Robin. Thanks. What my sleeping heart rate has been sort of on average for the past 3 months is about 10 to 15 beats per minute higher than I know where it should be. And it's also interestingly been 10 beats per minute higher than my waking resting heart rate, which should tell you something, right? If my daytime heart rate is 65 beats per minute when I'm sitting down and sort of, resting, not like doing physical activity, You would think that my sleeping heart rate would be less than 65 beats per minute, but it's not. It's been somewhere between 75 and 90. So my heart is just like boom, 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 working overdrive while I'm sleeping right now. And I'll tell you right now, it is absolutely because of that chronic low grade stress that's been going on. And I'm resolving. We'll get to the how better question here in just a minute. But let's in summary, put it this way with respect to stress and its impact on sleep. Sleep quality either enhances or impairs basically every physiological function in our body. So you say, okay, well, that's a big, broad statement, Rebecca. What exactly are those systems? What does your body do when you're sleeping that makes this such a damaging process when we're under stress and getting insufficient sleep? Well, even though it might look to the outside observer like you're completely at rest, nothing's going on, your body machine while you're sleeping. There's a bunch of things physiologically, like body systems wise, and psychologically in your mind that happen while you're sleeping. So I'm going to give you just a, right now because there's a lot of content here and I don't want to be chatting with you guys as much as I love chatting with you guys. I don't think any of us have like hours to spend this afternoon with such a beautiful day. So I'm going to hit the wave tops. And I'll also say that there will be much more detailed information in a free masterclass that I'll be talking about later, and obviously also in my signature program that will be starting on May 1st. More on both of those things in a second. For now, okay, number one thing that I think is pretty commonly known is memory processing. That is what your brain does chiefly when you're sleeping. It usually happens in the very beginning stages of sleep and in the very end stages of a sleep cycle. And just while we're on that point, the average sleep cycle goes through 5 phases: falling asleep, a little bit deeper asleep, really deep, nourishing sleep, and then REM. That stage 2, I sort of combine 2, 3, and 4. And then REM sleep comes at the end. And basically, from a memory stance, your body is taking all the events that you experienced throughout the day, things you read or took in any context, and it's moving those memories from your short term to your long term memory. And that happens chiefly in the beginning and very end stages of sleep. So if you are having problems remembering things, it's because likely you're not completing the full sleep cycle as many times as you need to per night. Basically, to go from phase 1 to 5 and then restart again, that's one cycle, it's about an hour and a half. And ideally, you would need about 3 to 5 repetitions that cycle How about now? Hello, hello. Can you guys hear me? I think I fixed it. Also, when you, okay, I can see myself moving a little bit again now. So I need you to tell me what's the last thing that you heard me say. I think, oh, hi, Nicole. Good. Okay, I'm back. I don't know what happened there. I suspect this is the fault of my son, who is upstairs remotely watching videos and gaming with some friends overseas. So this could be a bandwidth issue. Hopefully it will not impact too much of what we were doing. So I think I'm going to start over with what happens when we sleep. What are all the things that our body does? The first one, just to recap, because I did talk about this, hopefully you heard it, is memory processing and retention. While we are asleep, in the very early stages of sleep, our brains go through the process of sorting through all the information we took in throughout the day and moving it from our short-term memory to our long-term memory. This is how we learn. It's how information, it's how we remember things in general. So critically important, no matter what stage of life you're at. The second thing that we do is when we start to go into stages 3 and 4 of sleep, that's that real still, barely moving, slow heart rate, deep state of sleep. That is when our body really kicks into overdrive as far as physiological healing processes. So it is when a hormone called your human growth hormone is at its highest level for the day. That is when your body is trying to repair any damage that you might have. Like cells in our body need to be discarded and renewed, created new on a daily basis. Just basic metabolic and physiological processes do create cellular damage just naturally. If you exercise, if you lift weights, whatever, you're also going to break down muscle tissue and fiber that your body needs to build back stronger. So chiefly these restorative tissue healing functions happen while you're sleeping. Once you enter the deeper stages of sleep, right? So that very light surface level sleep is great for memory retention, but it's not so great if you never get to the deeper stages of sleep. Then your tissue repair processes start to suffer. Similarly, when you're in those deeper stages of sleep, your immune system also kicks into overdrive. Just think about deep sleep as the, in general, physical restorative process of sleep, right? So you're repairing tissues, your immune system is peaking for the day. Honestly, this is kind of when you think about when you're sick, your body wants to sleep, right? If somebody has sustained massive physical injury, they're going to be in some kind of coma, most likely. And it's our bodies have to sleep in order to repair damage, and they have to sleep deeply, right? So if you don't sleep long enough or well enough to get to that deep level of sleep, then you will suffer as far as cell regeneration and muscular and tissue repair. This includes your immune system will be impaired. Oops, my notes just fell down. Your immune system will be impaired as far as your body's efforts to fight off just regular things, regular pathogens that you might not notice if you are a healthy and well slept person. But if your health and your sleep are diminished, then your immune system becomes compromised and you can't fight off even minor infections like a cold, right? So the other two big touch on is detoxification. Similar, also in the deeper stages of sleep, your body really focuses on detoxifying all the toxins that you encounter throughout the day that can come from a few different sources. It can from environmental toxins that you take in just by breathing the air or using chemical products, makeup, hairspray, perfume. All of that contains chemicals that for some people can have a toxic effect. Your food can release toxins into your body unintentionally. And then sort of just as a byproduct of natural physiological and metabolic processes, your cells kind of die off as the day goes on, as they're used up. There's lots of byproducts just from metabolic functioning that your body views as toxins that it needs to clear every night. It needs to pass them through your liver, assimilate them in your gut, and ultimately send them out the back end, right? So that's the other and final part of what can become impaired if we don't sleep enough that I will touch on, and that is your microbiome balance. So if you're not detoxifying correctly, you're going to get overtapped from a sluggish processing of toxins. That's going to leach out into a lot of other bodily functions. Chiefly your microbiome will also be affected because it won't be able to restore the mucosal lining. It won't be able to repair or regenerate the immune system cells. Remember when we talked about the gut, I mentioned that about 80 to 90% of your immune system exists in your small intestine, in your gut microbiome. If that environment cannot regenerate correctly, or if it becomes overloaded with toxins because your detoxification pathways are sluggish because you're not sleeping well enough and your body's not able to clear things the way it needs to, then I hope it's clear you can see just the cascading negative effect of all of this. It just builds and builds and builds. And all of this adds to our stress bucket. And then the stress bucket tips over and then kind of feel like garbage, right? And I know many kind of feel like garbage right now. And that's why you're listening to me. And trust me, I can help. We will get you back to a state of health. I am 100% confident of that. So let's talk a little bit in more detail about a few processes as well that poor sleep impacts digestion. We just went over that one. In addition to that, in addition to what we just discussed, when you've not had enough sleep, you also typically make poor food choices. And hormonally, your hunger hormone will increase. So when you're tired, you're going to be more hungry. You're going to have less clarity in your mind, and you're going to likely have diminished capacity to make healthy food choices, right? Because that candy bar is going to look real good then. So is that banana or that piece of bread or whatever else tempts you, right? You are also, as we just discussed, going to have a problem clearing all the toxins from whatever poor food choices you make. Hey, so easy when you're sleepy, sitting on the couch, let me just dial up a pizza or some Chinese food or whatnot. We've all been there, myself included. So that leads me to blood sugar. Another thing your body does when it sleeps is it fights really hard to restore your ideal blood sugar level, which, as a general rule for most people, your body wants to keep your blood glucose reading at 89. So when you have the blood work done annually or however often you do it, and you fast overnight and your doctor takes your blood and tells you what that number is, it should be 89 or lower. That every night, no matter what you've put in your mouth that day, your body is going to fight like crazy to take your blood sugar back down to 89. And that is going to be something I'll come back to in just a second. And the other thing that happens brain function wise, something we feel, these are symptoms that we feel when we're awake, symptoms of poor sleep that we feel when we're awake. We can't focus. We don't have a lot of clarity. Our thoughts are just sluggish. We're super sensitive emotionally. Everything like that becomes impaired when we don't have a good night's sleep. And a lot of this, and this is where I'll pull the blood sugar point back, it's because when you're in a state of stress or diminished sleep, sort of one and the same for this discussion, your body, when you wake up and sometimes periodically throughout the night, is going to really amp up its production of cortisol, right? So cortisol is your stress hormone. It is the hormone that your body releases when you experience a state of fight or flight, right? It's the hormone that kept our caveman ancestors alive. But as we talked about in previous videos, when stress is happening, digestion is not, right? When stress is happening, sleep is not. And just think about, how do you feel when you have an acute stress response, right? Your heart rate elevates, your blood pressure rises, maybe you start to sweat a little bit. You are like super laser focused on the threat, but you're not really focused tangentially on anything else, right? So we've all felt that response. It's obviously a very, very difficult thing to maintain that level of exertion over time to that point. But when we are sleep deprived and experiencing low-key stress, we're still experiencing those symptoms, even though at a little bit lower level, but a systemic level, right? Remember what I told you about my own sleeping heart rate, right? Elevated even while sleeping, which means increased blood pressure, increased cardiovascular rhythm, all of that, increased mental function, as far as racing thoughts are concerned, increased cortisol production, decline in digestion, decline in sleep quality. Like, do you see how this wheel just keeps turning and the cycle keeps going? And if we don't do something about our stress load or our sleep quality, the cascade of negative things is just going to keep ballooning until it reaches a point of critical mass. So this brings me to the question I'm sure you guys have, two of them. Well, Rebecca, how much sleep should we be getting? And what can we do to improve our quality of sleep? So on average, they say, hold on one second, I must fix my note pages. They are curling. Between 7 and 9 hours of sleep really is ideal. I know I just laughed. Don't worry. We will get you to that level if you are not there already. Interestingly, the science shows that less than 7 hours and more than 9 hours on a systemic basis can kind of have the same negative health effects. Less than 7 hours will put you in that sleep deprived state, and you'll be experiencing to some degree all of the negative effects we've just gone over. More than 9 hours is usually indicative of underlying health problems, some or all of which may have been caused by previous bouts of sleep deprivation. But if you're a person who sleeps more than 9 hours a night on a regular basis and you still feel like garbage, then that is something we can talk about offline, because sleeping more than 9 hours is equally as concerning as sleeping less than 7 hours a night. So how can we improve our sleep? I will touch again just on a few little points right now, because there's many, many ways to work on your sleep hygiene. And in the masterclass and the signature program, I'm definitely going to go into more detail about all of this. So I'll give you just a couple right now, also because I know we're running a little short on time. Number one, please make your room as you can, and also make your room as dark as you can. 1 and 2. Cover up any little lights from your phone or your TV or anything else that's on in your room at night that has one of those blue lights, or red lights are better than blue lights, but just cover up anything that is any source of light at all. Get yourself some blackout curtains, hang a quilt or a blanket over your window if you don't have blackout curtains. Wear a sleep mask if either of the previous two options work for you. Buy a fan and blow it on yourself so that you can become as cool as possible while you're sleeping. I mean, we're talking 65-degree ambient temperature probably would be ideal for most people. If that's too cold for your other household members, circle back to the fan point, because those two factors environmentally are really critical. Cold room, dark room. And then the third mention right now is please try whatever you can to keep yourself on a routine, right? Those of us, oh, your connection is unstable. Hopefully I'll keep going just a few more minutes. Those of us that have children, and certainly all of us once were children, and likely most of us had parents or are parents who advocate that our children be on a schedule, right? We all know as babies, from observing babies or having our own babies, children function so much better when they have adequate sleep at the same times repeatedly over time. It is no different for the grown-up versions of ourselves. Yes, every now and again going off schedule is likely perfectly fine. You'll feel it the next. For me, I try to be between 9 and 9:30 and definitely asleep by 10 o'clock nearly every night. Do I go out and enjoy myself with my friends every now and again and push that envelope well past 10 o'clock? Yeah, sure. But every time I feel it the next, sometimes even the next few days. I know you've all had a similar experience at one point or the other. If I keep to that schedule, I will naturally wake up between 5:30 and 7:30, depending on what day of the week it is, for the most part without fail. It's very rare that I sleep past 7:30 if I've gone to bed on time. That just seems to be how my body functions. So I would encourage you all to take a look at how you feel when you wake up, when you really start to get tired at night, and see if you can carve out a 7 to 9, 10-hour window there for yourselves. I say 10 hours because in the bed is not always, we don't just boop, instantly fall asleep, especially as women, right? Got to turn the brains off. So if you give yourself more like 8, 9, 10-hour window, you'll at least hit that 7-hour of sleep mark. So I've mentioned a few times now about the upcoming programs that I have available that will really go into more detail about the how can we improve our digestion? How can we improve our mindset? How can we improve our sleep? How can we put all this together and just improve our life, right? How can we break this yo-yo diet cycle? How can we feel better, sleep better, get our bikini bodies back, or just generally improve the condition of our overall health so that we can continue to live long and prosperous and healthy and happy lives, right? So I'm very excited to announce that during the week of April 19th to 24th, specifically, I will be offering a free masterclass. There will be 5, possibly 6 days. Each session will be about this length, about half an hour. And we're going to go Monday to Thursday. Then the 5th day will take the normal Saturday morning chat time. And then I might do a Q&A the following Monday evening. The Monday to Thursday sessions will be in the evening. I'm thinking probably 6:37 Central Time. And then the Saturday session will be about 10:30, just like we've been doing these lives normally. And then same for if I decide to do the be the following Monday at 6:30 Central Time. So if you are interested in that, stay tuned for more information in the group this coming week. I'll start to put some more information, a link where you can sign up and all of that good stuff. As we go through that program, which will be sort of an introduction to the Foundations of Health, which is my signature 6-week program, during that masterclass, I will absolutely describe for you all in a little bit more detail what that 6-week program looks like, how you can sign up, what is involved in investing in yourself this way, what kind of outcome you should anticipate at the conclusion of the 6 weeks. I will also say that for this run of the program starting on May 1st, I am only taking 10 to 15 women. I really want to keep this group really small because you're going to get a lot of one-on-one time with me, and I want to be able to really dig in with you and address your specific needs within the group setting. It should be a wonderful place for support in our little tribe community here, where everybody is going through the same process at the same time. And we will have a separate Facebook group exclusively for these program members, where you can all talk to each other, lean on each other, support each other, and obviously have consistent daily input from me. So that is the plan there. And again, stay tuned for the Facebook group about all of that. I'll talk about the masterclass first, the free one. And then within the context of the masterclass chats, I'll give you some more details on the full 6-week program. Of course, if you just can't wait because you're so super curious, which I know I would be, you're welcome to send me a message, private message or text, however you like. I can give you a little information